This is being
So, welcome to Season of Change, transforming your life by the power in the Word of God. I am your host, Evangelist Joseph Jeremiah, and I have my guest here, Josie from United States of America. So, welcome to Season of Change.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wow. So, how is United States of America?
Well, today I'm located in Houston. For the people that doesn't know, Houston is a very big city, and normally it's hot almost all the year. But in winter it becomes typically cold. But that here doesn't snow typically. But these days, all this week has been coming a cold front from the north, so we're having very freezing days today. So today is going to be one of the most freezing days of the year.
Wow, that's great. So, how is life there? Is life there in United States suitable and cool?
Well, here the life is everything. Here, people have to be, uh, you know, challenging because the economy here having some challenge. But of course, it still is a great country. Still is a great country.
Well, I would say, well, United States of America is better, it has better advantage than where we are in Africa, but we know that things will get better one day.
That is the challenge for all those countries. Yes.
Yes. So, well, let's go straight to our discussion. So, we'll be discussing tonight about the book that's published or authored by Josie. And quickly before we go into that, I want to say, Josie, can you please just give us brief biography about yourself?
Well, my name is Jose Pereira. In Spanish, because I'm Venezuelan born, became a American citizen some kind of years ago, but I'm Venezuelan born. So Jose, as you know, is a biblical name because he's the father of Jesus. So it's Joseph in English. I'm Jose. I'm Jose Angel. So I'm because we in Venezuela are very Christians. We are really Venezuelan is a very Christian country, and kind of all the Venezuelan always has a Christian name in their name. I have two because I have Jose and I have Angel. So I'm Jose Angel Pereira. I come from a like a third generation of oil workers because Venezuela also is our country that today unfortunately is not going so good because there is a regime that has been messing up with the economy. But back to the 70s, the 80s, and even up to the 90s, Venezuela was a booming economy, was one of the richest countries of Latin America. And I began working there very young in the oil industry, the Venezuelan oil industry, PDVSA, Petróleos de Venezuela, was the fifth oil company of the world. So it was a big deal working there. So I began my career there. As I said, my father also worked there and my grandfather. So when I began working there, I was assigned to several international projects, always with PDVSA. And like around 15 years ago, I was transferred to the U.S. Affiliate that is CITGO Petroleum here in Houston. It belongs to PDVSA, and I was transferred here, and that's how I came here to the U.S. And I began to continue my career. By that time, I had like 20 years in PDVSA, and I continued my career. And at the end, in 2017, I got 35 years in between PDVSA and CITGO. 35 years, long career. And at that time, I became the CEO of the company. I finished my career being the CEO of the company, but I went through a situation that happens in the life. I was called to a last minute meeting in Caracas, Venezuela, the capital of Venezuela, and that meeting resulted to be a settlement because maybe in Africa they are not so familiar, but during that time here in the U.S. It was in the presidency Donald Trump, And that Donald Trump was having a lot of argument with the Venezuelan government because they did like a fake election. They did a fake election, and they practically they stole the elections of the opposition. So the U.S. government began to impose sanctions to Venezuela. It doesn't happen like in August 2017. My situation happened in November, almost 6 months after I did this travel to Caracas. And I was not a politician. I was a oil executive, so I didn't see nothing wrong. But we get caught in the middle of that political tension between the two countries, and we and myself with my five top executives, we were held as hostage there. We became the political pawns of the the tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela, and they began to negotiate for us. They were asking to get sanction relief to release us, and it began to be a big political thing, and it went so high politic that at some point was a lot of back and forward. And long story short, our arbitrary detention lasted 5 years. We stayed 5 years in that situation. Donald Trump, if everybody knows that he lost the election, and came to the office, Joe Biden, and the President Biden continued the negotiation because we became like an emblematic thing in the foreign policy here in the U.S. because we were political. We were treated like that, and the Biden administration decided to do like a kind of a quiet diplomacy. They designated a negotiator, and this guy stayed almost 1 year negotiating, and at the end they agreed to do a prisoner swap. So we came back here to the U.S. in October 1st, 2022, to do a prisoner swap. So that's the way I could return here to the U.S. So I have like 15 months that I came back. When I came back, during all those 5 years, because it was like an evolving situation during those 5 years. So at the beginning was a kind of terrible situation. But let's say after the first year, because they were back and forward in the negotiation, they began to relax a little bit our situation, and they began allow us to bring food the family provide food because the food there was terrible. There was lack of food, and they allow us to do that, and they allow us to bring books. And we were more in a more not okay, but a better situation than before. And so when I began to receive those food, I took the risk, and I began to smuggle letters to my wife because I had like almost 1 year without no communication. So I began to smuggle those letters, and my wife began to reply me the letter. And we begin to do that back and forward almost 3 years. So when I came back in October, my surprise was that my wife had all those letters. It was almost 1,000 letters. And she had put those letters in Word. She transcribed in Word. And I sit down with her, and that's going to become the book. That is the basis of the book. The book became like a kind of a memoir. My memoir writing in there when I was in the dungeon. So it's like the evolution of all my story. But the way I wrote the book is because I understood, and I'm a guy of God, that for some reason God put us in this situation, and now we are talking about this to help others. And I decided to put my book. I always talk about my legacy. And my legacy is trying to inspire others that even that you can go to any bad situation in your life, like happened to us. It can be even extreme situation that happened to us. If you decided to overcome it in a positive way, and you try to find a positive things in the bad thing that happened to you, you can overcome your adversity. And this is the takeaway of my book. So this is the way I decided to frame my book.
Wow, that's a great experience. And that what you're trying to tell me now is that's where the inspiration of writing that books come from. Wow.
Yes,
So
I decided to do it that way. Yes. The image is frozen.
so we'll be talking about the book that is authored by. We'll be talking about a book authored by Jose Pereira. That is from hero to valiant. That's the book published. The title of the book we'll be discussing tonight, and it has made me to understand that through your being in captive, your being in the serious challenges, you got inspiration of writing this book. And what I will about to ask you now, the book is from hero to valiant. You are telling us that already you are an hero, so you become a valiant man. So what makes these two difference? How do you come about that?
You know, everybody asks me that question. That's why, and I decided to put that title because, as I said, I did this long career in PDVSA, and it was really funny that I did a very successful career. I did a very successful career, and during my long career, I got to all the way to become the CEO of the company, because I always was looked like a very successful guy that did a very wonderful career and achieved a lot of things in my company, and I was kind of treated like a hero, you know. So everybody always saw me that way. And when I came to this situation, the Venezuelan government, because they decided to take our case and put us like we were very mean. We were accused to be spies. We were accused to be do treason. We were accused to do corruption and investment. So they put us a lot of very heavy charge, and we became the villains. So that's why I decided to say, okay, I was a hero, now I became a villain. So that's why I put that title. That the title of the book complete is that from hero to villain, the true story of the CITGO 6. I'm gonna explain why the CITGO 6. CITGO 6 is CITGO 6. CITGO is the company. The name is CITGO Petroleum. Maybe the people that are hearing this that are not familiar. CITGO is the sixth refiner here in the U.S. Sixth refinery complex here in the U.S. CITGO has more than 6,000 gas stations here in the U.S. So it's big. It's a big company. And I was the president of that company at that time. And we were six guys. So for some reason, when our case hit the press, and it became big here in the U.S. Our case was very big here in the U.S. because it became a high politic thing between the U.S. and Venezuela, and the journalists took a lot of articles about our case. For the press was more easy. Instead of being naming the sixth guy, they put us like a cheap title, and we became the CITGO 6. And so the CITGO 6 here became like a brand. One of the guys that was with me, Jorge, he's a musician, and he always joked saying that one day we're gonna create a rock band, and we're gonna name it the CITGO 6. Because really it became like a brand. So that's why my book is the true story of the CITGO 6, because we became the CITGO 6. Everybody, I can tell you, if you go to anybody can hear this, you go to Google and put CITGO 6, you will find tons and tons of articles, and even the during the administration, the Trump administration, and here in the Biden administration, you will hear even Donald Trump talking about us, and Mike Pompeo. All the high politicians here were always release the CITGO 6, release the CITGO 6. So it became like a brand. It became like
Wow, that's great. So, how does the main character in the book navigate the emotional challenges that you pass through in the captivities?
it is very interesting the question because in the book, the way I narrate the book, because as I said, the book is based on my letters. When I began to write those letters, I did it for several reasons. The first thing is that because I was in a very bad situation, I have suffered like 2 times COVID. I suffered a heart attack. I suffered pneumonia, bronchitis. I had two times scabies. So I went through a lot of health issues because our situation was really extreme. And at some point, I didn't knew if I was going to survive. So because when I suffered the heart attack, I was literally almost dead. I'm a miracle being here. And I was thinking, wow, if I die here, my family will know nothing what happened here. So that's why I decided to begin to write like a diary. Every day I was writing that what I was feeling in the moment, my thoughts. I was trying to, put my thing there, writing what was going during the day, what I did. It was like a diary. And at some point, I was doing that because I said, okay, if I don't make it, at least my family will have my story. So I was thinking in that moment on that. But at the end of the 5 year, I was in another situation. I had a boost of hope because having those letters allowed me to receive information from her. So I was more aware of all the negotiations that was going to get us released. So you become more hope. You have more hope. I was more strong. And at some point, by the way, when being there, because I was there with all the political prisoners of Venezuela, because Venezuela is a communist regime, and all those political prisoners that were with me. One of these guy, he's a very famous journalist that is in jail, and he was released recently, by the way. We became friends. We became friends, and that guy encouraged me to write my book. He knew that I was writing. He told me the day you return, take those letter and convert it in a book. So that's why I decided to. I took his idea, and he gave me also good ideas because he was a journalist with a lot of expertise in writing. And I began to more thinking in the book. So you will have evolution in those letters, and the way I narrate the book, you can see how you come from hopeless to strong, and how my situation was changing. So that's what the way I do in the flow of the book.
That is a great experience. So, can you share some key moments in the story that highlight the pain associated with the hero to Valiant? Can you
Well,
share
the,
some?
the first year, I have a chapter in my book that is called The Horror in Boleita. Boleita was the place where we were. It's a famous dungeon. Venezuela has a dungeon, Boleita and El Helicoide. I was in the two of them. I was first in Boleita and then were transferred to Helicoide. When we were in Boleita, Boleita is like a three floor down basement in a military base that is totally locked. It doesn't have window, nothing, and you were totally isolated. And these guys were terrible, terrible. They do a lot of psychological torture and physical torture too. By the way. We didn't suffer physical torture, to tell you the truth, but we really receive a lot of psychological torture that sometimes is even worse than the physical. So that chapter, I narrate things that happened there that were terrible. I remember that my wife, when she began to receive those letters, when I sent those letters that refer to the event, She told me that she never read that letter. She couldn't do it. And when we were editing that chapter, she couldn't be there. She couldn't make it. I was so shocked by the things that I was saying there that even me reading them, I got impressed. It was a very dark moment, very dark.
Wow, that is a very horrible experience. So, in what way does this book addresses these societal issues that cause these problems of kidnapping, or let me say captivity?
Well, today that's exactly part of my intention of my book because when I came back, I discovered, because for me was that discovery. I was not aware of that. That hostage situation here in U.S. has becoming a serious national security issue because more and more Americans are getting hostage all over the world. I didn't knew that was happening because the situation is that this type of thing that people are not aware. So when I came back like 1 month after, our families, my family with another 19 families, 20 families, they created a campaign called the Bring Our Family Home campaign that was to campaign to push the government to take the decision to bring us back. And it worked because they did a lot of pressure. As I said, they went big to the press. They went big to the press. That's because we were six families. So the six wives with all our six kids, they began to deploy on all over the medias here in the US. You can see news about us in all the major medias here in the US. TV, radio, and newspapers. All of them. They went to go. It was like a daily interviews, bloom, 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 and he began to do a lot of noise, a lot of pressure, and the government began to feel that pressure, and they did something that, let me tell you, I got surprised about that. They took the last photo that each family had of each of these family that being hosted. So there took 20 photos. And there is a famous muralist here in the US called Isaac Campbell that he converted those photos in a big portrait, a big wallpaper portrait with our faces, and he deployed it in an alley in Washington. So they created a alley with the 20 faces in an alley that became like an icon in Washington, in the front of the White House, literally. And that was a lot of pressure because the press began to go there and the family and begin to be meeting. So that at the end resulted the government took the decision that swapped us, and we came back because of that. So when I came back 1 month after, I tell my wife that I really felt that mural was like magical, that helped me. So I decided to go to the mural to take me some photos. So I told her, let's go to Washington. So we got a plane, and we were thinking to go and take us some photos and come back. Well, we got surprised because we were not aware that we were the first hosted that was going to that mural. So when the people knew that we were going there, they organized an event. And when I arrived to the mural, I got surprised because I saw a lot of press, congressmen, a delegation of all the embassies of the world. It began to be a big event. And I met in that event a lot of families because they came to the event. Families of people that they are hosted all over the world, and that for me was like a wow. I was kind of wow, and I began to connect with these families. I began to have this connection, and those connections resulted in begin to help them, connect. I began to work with them, and I discovered that for some reason, my situation was giving them hope, was giving them faith. And I said, oh wow, Jose, you come from this long career, and now you went through this situation. And I began to investigate about that. And I created a coaching program called Life Pills for a Survivor Guide. That is the coaching program that today I do. And I began to talk also. I began to be invited to talk about this, not only in podcasts. I was invited to go to TV interviews. I was invited to events to speak. And I was invited to at the Congress. I was invited to the UN. I lost your image. Are you there? Are you there? Hello? Sorry, I missed you. I stopped talking because you were not there. You're gonna edit the recording, I believe.
Yes, yes, I will do that.
Okay. Well, let me continue. So I
Oh,
was.
so the
Oh, okay.
yep, the it's as if the network is freezing,
Yeah. Maybe
but we
having.
can still go on. As much you can hear me clearly.
No, now you are freezing. Okay, now I see you. Go ahead. Okay, can I hear you?
Hmm. Hello.
Yeah. You're having problems with the internet.
Yes, it's as if the network is freezing, but we can continue. Don't worry, I will do the editing.
Okay.
So the next questions I will be asking you: are there the research that you carried out to know or to know the experience of those passing through the same issues you have passed through?
Sorry, say again. I couldn't hear you clearly.
I said, are there research or what research do you carried out to
Ah.
know the actual experience of those people that passed through the same thing that you passed through in the captivity?
Well, as I said, because as I begin to meet these families and former hostage, I saying that we had 30 minutes in the meeting. So I began to meet those families and former hostages, and I discovered that their situation was very similar of mine, because this is something that today I'm very aware is called the hostage diplomacy. The hostage diplomacy is a very sophisticated type of diplomacy this government do that when they're having problems with the other government, they take their citizens, they take it as a pawn, and they leverage them asking for anything. And it's very sophisticated. So the technique, it has been refined and is being copied by all these countries. So it's like a same pattern.